he defamed election workers with grotesque racist lies and has had to pay the money as a result of that. There's also the allegations of sexual assault, and that is still hanging out there. I just want to remind everyone, and if you read into that, and we've previously done the reporting, there's a lot of really dark stuff in there. I will just remind everyone, and that weirdly for Trump, not a thing that he's worried about. As someone who's being accused of being a sexual predator, I'm just gonna point that out. Anyway, that's unfortunately all the time we have. Elliot, it is always a pleasure to have you here. You're a lot of fun, and I enjoy you being on the show. And everyone should definitely check out your videos on Rebel HQ. But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Everybody out there, tomorrow is Big News Wednesday. Sharon Reed will be here. We're gonna be hitting the big 800 on our countdown of shows until we're done with Donald Trump. Maybe something big will happen in the news. We'll have to see together. For now, though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Ritchie. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today, breaking down news of the day. The incomparable Sharon Reed, always fascinating to have her brilliance on the program. Top story of the day, J.D. Vance trying to be president of the United States. Okay.
Our 5-year-old, his favorite color is gold. And whenever he walks into the Oval Office, he's just blown away by it because it does have this bright, lively feel. The first time that I ever walked in the Oval Office was January 21st of this year. I was, of course, the new vice president of the United States. It was an amazing thing. I was overwhelmed by the grandeur of the office, all of the incredible history that had been made. But if I was being honest, it was the middle of winter. The drapes were closed. It was very dark. It had kind of a dark and gloomy feeling. This is the workplace of the leader of the free world. It should be a little brighter. I like what the president has done to it.
Okay. We have more. Put up the picture for mass here. An interview featuring J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States, praising Donald Trump's gold decor in the Oval Office has backfired. Possible hint here. He is aspiring to replace Trump. Hell, that's why he took the damn job in the first place. But it has also brought back some resurfaced clips of when JD told the truth about Trump. In the past, Vance openly called himself, quote, a never Trumper, and labeled Trump as, quote, an idiot, according to Politico. Here it is.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
That same individual who not only was a critic of Trump, he was downright aggressive. There are people on record who are Democrats who cannot stand Donald Trump, and they are elected in the U.S. Senate, they're a member of the House. But they've never said the stuff that J.D. Vance has said against Donald Trump. Now, the other side of this is that Trump has not given J.D. Vance equal or more in return, like he typically would do if he's criticized by someone like a rap star. So here we go. Fox News also previously covered his remarks on Trump, including, quote, might be America's Hitler, according to JD, and, quote, idiot if you voted for him. Now social media is bringing attention to the old clips and describing his recent praise as strategic flattery rather than actual sincerity. Can we all be adults in the room? Can we be grown-ups? Which J.D. Vance was the sincere or is the sincere J.D. Vance? We're not talking about authentic, genuine, and honest. Sincere. Meaning, what comments aligned with his true north as it relates to Trump? Well, the previous ones. Absolutely. What you're seeing today is a picture of a man whose true north is now aligning with his proximity to power. He still believed those things about Trump He may even believe it more so than ever, but he cares about self more so than he cares about service. And that is what you're seeing. Now, the now viral video of J.D. Vance, vice president, and his earlier comments, they're being shared alongside his Oval Office praise of Donald Trump, reframing the compliments as strategic flattery rather than sincerity. Quote, "Vacation Vance is a complete phony. He became what he detested, and it's so obvious that he's faking it all right now," end quote. Another one argued, quote, "He can't stand Trump. He's only using him to get in the White House to carry out Project 2025. Want to ask simply, how can Trump trust him? That's going to get interesting, I believe, during the journey of this year and beyond. How can you trust him? Some are questioning Vance's motives to the recent rumors surrounding Trump's health. Let's go to it. So in an interview, this happened last week, USA Today, he insisted that Trump is incredibly good health, adding, quote, "Yes, terrible tragedies happen, but I feel very confident the president of the United States is in good shape, is going to serve out the remainder of his term. And if, God forbid, there's a terrible tragedy, I can't think of better on-the-job training than what I've gotten over the last 200 days. J.D. Vance, ladies and gentlemen, American patriot. That's insane. Now, remember, J.D. Vance visited with the Pope, and the Pope died the next day, if you recall that. So I'm not sure what J.D. got going on. But if he's talking about what he's talking about, there may be issue for concern here. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but damn it, if they're actually doing it, it's not a conspiracy theory. All right, Sharon, this is getting more weird by the moment, but no one believed J.D. Vance became vice president because Trump liked him or Vance liked Trump. There was something else at play. Maybe we are starting to see the something else. What say you?
I couldn't agree with you more, Doc. Number one, the only thing, there's this one fruit fly, okay? And I'm going to get it, just like we hope JD is going to get it, okay? Smashed out of here, because he's far more dangerous than Trump, because he's smarter in a very devious way. He's an intelligent man who, as you mentioned, is all out for self.
Yeah.
And you asked Doc who the real JD is. I don't know that he knows, okay? And I don't know that it even matters, is part two. When, if he ascends to the highest office in the land, he'll do what Peter Thiel, the billionaire, tells him. He'll just want to be there with his, is that permanent eyeliner? And I'm not judging. He'll want to be the face of this thing, and he'll be fine with that.
Yeah, there are some people, because the reality is none of us are fundamentally good in that way. I believe we are good by creation, fundamentally complex by life. But some folk would prefer to shrink the sacredness of an opportunity rather than live up to the sacredness of that opportunity that has been given to them. And this is where that defining moment typically happens when you're of great leadership.
Doc, can I just,
yeah.
I'm sorry, just one other thing. I had forgotten about the Pope and the timeline. And of course,
Yeah.
you're not a conspiracy theorist. I don't know if you've ever met J.D. Vance, but because we need you and love you,
I'm not.
I
went
implore
to
you,
the
please.
meeting.
Okay.
That's
You will
right.
not.
There you go. Right. All right. We'll bring you updates as they come. Okay. A black teenager attacked by a mob of racist teens. This happened in Wisconsin. Very sad story. Put it up. Full mask. According to ABC 27, WKOW News, Wisconsin, The Iowa County Sheriff's Office is now investigating a fight that took place among a group of white teens attacking a black 14-year-old child. It was a male child. This happened August 16th at a barn in the town of Pulaski. The video of the attack shows that the group surrounded the black teen, called him the N-word, pushed him against farm-bladed equipment, mostly like a combine, pushed him to the ground while stomping and kicking him. Keep the pictures up. Because these are minors, we do not allow the video to play on my program. We will take snapshots to give you the idea, and we do what we can to conceal identity of teenagers, even when their actions are horrendous, unless it has been publicly shared via media. They're jumping him. That's what we would call it from my neighborhood. Only cowards do things like this. They could have killed him because of the brutality involved. As you can clearly see, he's on the ground trying to protect himself. This is an instinctive posture to protect your vital organs from being injured. Lynn Parrott is the city of Philadelphia's alderperson and says she was shocked to see the video after the victim's mother sent it to her. Quote, "I'm sitting in my car and I'm looking at the video. It tore my heart," end quote. The alder person said, quote, "It hurt me. And then the things that they were saying, the slurs and the verbiage and the, beat that N-word and F that N-word and bust his eye. Like, why?" She says, thankfully, the 14-year-old child is okay. Did not suffer any serious physical injuries from the attack, but says he is emotionally scarred from the incident. Quote, "He could get to the point where he doesn't trust, he'll lose friends, he'll withdraw. Is that what we want?" Parrott said. She says the child told his family that he was a target because the group mistook him for someone else. I have some issues with a few things here. Number one, the way he was brutally attacked, you cannot conclude he would not have serious physical injuries because some of these injuries may not manifest until later in life. Number two, definitely he's been scarred in the worst way imaginable, and that's by way of his mind. Reason why that's the worst scarring is because that's the scarring that determines the lens that you view all of existence through. The lens of experience. Now, to the older person, you don't know why this happened. You're saying why. What you're seeing, madam, is a shadow. It's not the origin. The origin took place in their minds. The origin took place in their indoctrination. The origin took place with racist conversations they've had prior, perhaps even among their own family members. The actual place that this happened wasn't what we see in the video. That's your starting point. There's more. Iowa County Sheriff Mike Peterson says the fight is under investigation. His deputies responded that night because a fire was reported at the same spot. When they arrived, the people who were part of the fight had left. Deputies are now reviewing the video after receiving it from a media outlet on Friday, August 22nd. 27 News initially reached out to the Iowa County Sheriff's Department on Friday, August 22nd, asking if they were investigating the situation. They were not able to provide a comment until Monday, August 25th. Meanwhile, Parrott is calling for accountability for the teens involved in the incident. Quote, "It bothered me more, not just because he was the only African American in the room, but because he went out to an event with some friends and he had some trust, right? And so if he trusted these people that brought him out there, like what happened," Parrott said. Hatred, racism is the eventual conclusion of it. It dehumanizes those who are human just like everyone else, makes a person feel superior because in order for them to feel as if they matter, they have to tear other folk down. And typically they've been trained that way by way of culture, community, and their own family. It is extreme what has happened to this child, and we want justice. You cannot negate the reality of the parents of those who committed this criminal act. You can't. You cannot do that. Because if Black children jump a white child, the conversation becomes about parenting, culture, single parent household, maybe. So let's not dismiss it for this one. If we're going to fix it all the way. Sharon, thoughts here?
This single mother tends to agree with you 100%. The thing about kids is kids do dumb things. You know that, I know that. Probably we both participated in some things.
Yeah.
But this is different, and history tells us so. You mentioned the word indoctrination, and that's the key here. Okay? Sometimes kids steal. That doesn't mean their parents are going around stealing. Maybe it's peer pressure. In a case like this, a vile, heightened, vicious attack, and the language attached to it doesn't need to be explained away by somebody talking about wrong identification. It doesn't have anything to do with it. It doesn't. And as ugly as it is, we need to get to the bottom, the root of this, but justice first.
Yeah.
Less about the perps, more about the victim of them. Justice first.
There you go. All right, we'll bring updates as they develop. All right. Well, here we go. Black student strapped to a backboard by teacher for sleeping in class. Put it up full mask. This is unusual and criminal, in my opinion. I'm taking you to Pennsylvania. Paige Woods and Nathaniel Woods Jr., the parents of a high school student, are now suing the Williamsport Area School District. This is in Pennsylvania. After their son was strapped to a medical backboard by a teacher for appearing to sleep during class. Hell of a thing. The incident occurred on May 28th in the classroom of Richard Cachera, who was hired by the area high school 3 weeks earlier to teach in the Homeland Security program of the school's career and technical education program. The teacher had zero prior teaching experience and held a temporary teaching certificate that did not require any education credentials. That's according to the lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court, Pennsylvania, August 21st, and obtained by Atlanta Black Star. They did great reporting on this. The class was taking a test that day. I'm giving you the scenario. And the minor plaintiff, a junior, identified in the lawsuit as NW, posed a question to use the restroom. Had to pose this question multiple times. Was denied multiple times. The child then put his head down on his desk. The teacher reacted to this gesture of him putting his head down on his desk by having another student place smelling salts under the child's nose, according to the lawsuit. Now, before I continue, I don't know if you've ever experienced smelling salts that they don't smell like salt. It can be quite brutal and painful if you are not aware that it's coming, okay? It's abusive. Now, the lawsuit notes this, right? So which noted the student had several significant allergies and was under a 504 plan, which means they have a contract with the institution because of his medical condition. In Pennsylvania, 504 plans provide accommodations for students with a qualifying disability to ensure they can participate in educational programs. He had one. There's more. NW, or Nathaniel Woods III, according to his attorney, Joseph Montgomery, has ADHD. Quote, keeping his head down during unstructured time is a strategy to emotionally regulate. He's taught to do this. Montgomery, whose practice focuses on special education matters, told Atlanta Black Star, when the child did not raise his head fast enough, the teacher directed students to secure this child to a medical backboard, immobilizing him with a strap at or just below his neck. The teacher then turned the backboard 90 degrees, making it vertical. What do we have so far? We have a child who has qualifying disability because they have an in-place 504 plan. All educators are supposed to know which students have one. That's the reason the parents go through the process to qualify, because that 504 plan isn't just a plan, it's actually a contract. And it is a legally binding contract between the student, the family, and the school system. So this individual decided to disregard all of the protocols, engage in what I believe to be criminal activity, instruct other minors to do so, creating a conspiracy to commit a crime with minors. They then immobilize a child. We would call that kidnapping, ironically, by kids and a teacher. They then tie him. There's more. The minor was forced to stand on his toes to avoid the strap pressing on his throat, and was left in this state for several minutes, the lawsuit says. He later said he had to fake coughing, okay, to get the teacher to let him down for allowing the child off the backboard. The teacher allegedly posed a question. Quote, "Are you going to stay awake?" End quote. About a dozen students witnessed the incident, the complaint says. This isn't a medical device anymore, right? This isn't a medical backboard. It's being utilized as a quasi-hanging device. And if the child doesn't figure out how to utilize the extremities of his body, the pressure of the top strap chokes him. You have a child with a qualified disability. Parents are dutiful enough to make sure that it's qualified by way of their medical provider. That's how they're qualified typically. Contract is in place. School systems do not freely sign those contracts because they know it creates additional liability for the institution. And so it's a strong vetting process to get to this point. You got to have parents that really care about you to go through the rigmarole for it, and they did. The student utilizes the strategy that is taught. It's a mitigation strategy to mitigate the emotional feeling from being dismissed. So he put his head down. It's unstructured activity. Put his head down. It's not violent. It's not aggressive. It's not disrespectful, and he's trained to do it. So he gets criminally treated by the school teacher. So Nathaniel was sent out of the class for asking to use the restroom and was given a 0 on the test administered that day. He was also required to serve detention for being sent out of class. The child went home, told his parents, Paige Carol Woods and Nathaniel Woods Jr. They were shocked and upset. They contacted school faculty and administrators and demanded an explanation immediately. He got a 0 on the test. Had additional punishment beyond that, in addition to the punishment received in class. The only person that had a 0 that day is that school teacher. The only one. Alicia Differ, the associate principal, was, quote, astonished to learn from the parents' NW's version of events and got Matthew Fisher, the school's director of career and technical education, involved, according to the complaint. Paige Woods had multiple conversations and meetings with the associate principal and Fisher over the days that followed. Both spoke with the teacher, Kashera, about the incident, who allegedly, quote, did not see the wrong what he did, the lawsuit says. This instructor also reportedly said that he was, quote, holding NW to a higher standard than his peers. NW apologized to the teacher, the complaint says, and on May 30th, his mother told Fisher that it was only fair for the teacher to apologize to her son for what he put him through. Fisher indicated this was a reasonable request and directed the teacher to do so. The following Monday, the teacher informed the student through an internal message that he had until 3 p.m. to make up the test, but then forced the student to complete the test before the end of class. The complaint says by Tuesday morning, the same teacher still had not apologized to the child. Do you still believe that this teacher is simply trying to show, tough love and is misunderstood? He just wants NW to be all he can be, right? No. His mother again contacted Fisher, contacted the administrative faculty, and regarding the apology itself and the rescheduling of the test. The teacher, however, that this whole debacle stems from, who should be concerned about posting bail money rather than giving an apology, was unable to explain his reasoning for the timing of the test. In a subsequent email with NW, Fisher and the instructor allegedly told the child, quote, I apologize, but when I saw your head down, I went into scenario mode. The excuse that he was in scenario mode does not mesh with his prior statement when he conditioned the student being released from confinement on a promise not to sleep in class, the plaintiffs argued. The instructor became irate and emotional during the meeting, the lawsuit says. Both parents met with the instructor, met with Fisher, program director, who allegedly pulled them aside and asked them to remember, he's only been teaching 15 to 20 days. So the benefit of the doubt and the grace or forgiveness for any offense goes to the adult in the room and not the student with a qualified 504 plan who has diagnosed ADHD and was engaged in the training principle in order to be a respectful young man in the midst of somebody dismissing him. He doesn't get that. But the grown teacher gets it. It's not because he's been there 15 to 20 days. If you haven't learned to not tie up a child, you don't need a teaching certificate or specialized training in higher education to understand that that is a criminal act. And the school system continues to give a narrative of an employment dynamic when the truth is this is criminal. In my opinion and many, this is criminal action. And arrest should have been made because they have a duty here. All right, so since, they want to play hide the potato with the instructor, I'll go to the head person in charge here. All right, Dr. Justin Ross, I know you're not involved, sir, but you are the face of the institution. So I have no other choice but to put you here front and center. You're the head principal. Allegedly also told NW that he should, quote, give the teacher a chance. I mean, really? Montgomery said that the teacher was, quote, a substitute with a temporary license and should never have been allowed in the classroom. Among other deficiencies, Montgomery said the teacher did not have a copy of Nathaniel's 504 plan. Oh, we got institutional dynamics here. You have some liability now, institutional. So the teacher was not given the 504 plan, which would have informed him that the student has ADHD and requires special accommodations, including extended time for test taking. Quote, well, the instructor gave his class that day was a lesson on bullying, Montgomery said. So even without him receiving the 504 plan, which is just another layer of negligence of the institution, it doesn't excuse the fact of anything that he did. Because without the 504 plan, or with the 504 plan, the actions are still quite criminal. There's more. The teacher courses are currently being covered by a long-term substitute, the complaint says. The school board accepted the instructor's resignation at a meeting on August 12th, reported SunGazette.com. Since the incident, Montgomery said that Nathaniel's parents perceived that their son has lost his usual spark. Nathaniel Woods Jr. told WBRE that his son was anxious about returning to school. The lawsuit also seeks unspecified compensatory and punitive damages against the instructor on claims of assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and false imprisonment. The Williamsport Area School District told reporters that it would not comment on pending litigation. The district and other defendants in the case have 21 days after being served with the lawsuit to file a response. Put up the principal again. To the principal, this is going to be a nightmare case for you. I'm going to tell you why. You have a duty to engage in a particular protocol of investigation when there's an allegation of child abuse. Usually that protocol is inclusive of internal and external investigation, criminal and employment related. There is no mention of you engaging the proper agencies to at least conduct a thorough criminal investigation into the instructor and the allegations at hand. Here's why that hurts you and will benefit the parents and this child in the long run, because you didn't do the one thing that the law says you should do to lessen your liability. So all of your negligence will be exposed here. All right. Sharon, this is an insane 1-2 combination between negligent instructor engaged in criminal action, justified it when questioned by administration. Everybody seems to be on the same page about it being wrong, but it's a little bit more than wrong. It's not like the teacher clocked in late. The teacher engaged in multiple crimes easily by statute in any interpretation, including soliciting minors to commit crimes also. What say you?
And the principal and whoever else seems to be jumping up and volunteering additional liability from their responses. This is so painful, both what this child had to endure, Doc, but it's also painful because what you've detailed is just a group of intellectually deficient people. This case is so serious. This audience that we have is high bar, okay? They're so intelligent, they're so well-read.
Yep.
Smelling salts is barely approved by the FDA,
Right.
and it's for fainting only. It can kill and has killed children
Yep.
before. Involuntary vocal spasms and the like. It's ammonia.
That's right.
This is bananas. And I'll end with this. I believe you said the principal asked to give the teacher a chance. To do what? Kill him?
Right.
Outrageous. All of these
Exactly.
people are not just below standard, but they seem to be feral in their approach here.
Yeah. And to the parents of the other students who were involved, understand this. The school system, or at least that particular school, was okay with someone recruiting your child to engage in such an extreme act against one of their peers. So it's not just one victim here. And I hope you all stand together with this family as they seek justice, because reality is every child in that classroom was victimized. We got more on the other side. Indisputable stick and stay.
Damn it, they failed us. And if you're not angry about that, Michael, and any of you out there, then you're damn wrong, because you should be angry. Young Turks.
It was genuine. He was mad.
Cenk Uygur, known online as one of the Young Turks, isn't afraid to throw some punches.
3, 2, 1, fade up.
Cenk the Turk Uygur.
What kind of TV station is this? The whole point is for me to yell and scream and tell you what I think.
It was right out of like Wayne's World.
This guy on this little rinky-dink website is speaking truth to power. We've been averaging 600,000 views a day, beating most of the cable shows in America.
We're the largest online news show in the world.
We're celebrating our 1 billionth view.
Television, we're coming.
More politics ahead with Cenk Uygur.
He knew that the MSNBC opportunity was an experiment.
If Phil and host beat CNN and headline news combined, at some point, they want to give me a show.
Every single year, that comes out of our paycheck. We put it in, and you're saying we were suckers.
When you, as a host, tells someone you're interviewing to shut up, that's going to raise a red flag.
That guy needed a tall glass of shut up juice.
If President Obama's doing the wrong thing, I'm not going to tell you that he's doing the right thing so I can, quote, support him.
He says to me, "You won't believe the meeting that I just had."
The head of MSNBC talked to me.
And they want him off the air.
Cenk took an incredible risk.
We're supposed to challenge the government. That's the role of the media. The Democrats and the Republicans are here to screw you. And who on the air is saying it?
I wouldn't have done what he did.
That if I'm going to be a talk show host, I should be the biggest talk show host in the country. I don't think anyone else does it better. I don't think anyone's even close.
Before you know it, I'll be back on your TV doing a national show. I guarantee it.
Magic. It's showtime. And say 45 minutes. I'm hosting today. Now I know what you're thinking, Jerry, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right? A few years ago. When I realized that I was gonna have to wear makeup on the show. I had to go through like finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently what I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. At least I do. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial. how to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized. That's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw. All hands. Pick up. Couple streaks. This is the guy way of putting on makeup. We got dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. They'll say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We have a lot of comments I will read, as many as I can. Greatly appreciate everyone. All right, DB Hawk 3, thank you for that, by the way. Ooh, a little GP backstabbing, yeah. And also, thank you for being a member for 8 months. Greatly appreciate your support. All right. Dragons don't know I'm not real bacon. Vance may have the ambition, but MAGA and everyone else can smell the fake on him from a mile off. Right. Yeah. And Velvet Goldmine. If the Republicans could have just been strong enough to stand up to Trump, we could have avoided America's Hitler. There you go. And great point. Free meatballs and linguine. You're right. And thank you for that, by the way. Doc, that article called that a fight. Why is it called a fight when a racist gang attacks a young black boy, but it would be an assault if the situation were reversed? Nothing institutional to see here from the media. That is correct. And that's why I reframed it as they jumped them. We see that routinely in titles, even with local news. I come from a local news culture here. Sharon Reed and I both. Hell, Sharon helped me get the gig at CBS Atlanta News. And routinely, I sent messages about misleading headlines from things that happened close to a black college, as opposed to them happening at the black college. And the fight, but it was actually an assault. So these things are quite normative in news outlets. So you're right to call it out. Thank you for your advocacy. DB Hawk 3 said, and thank you for that. Saw this on Reddit, really disgusting. F bullies, that's right. RJL Network, member for 38 months. Greatly appreciate it. Let's all be strong. Let's all be vigilant as the doctor tells us. All the truth, and let us spread the truth to others who need to hear it. That's right. That's it. That's it. Continue to tell the truth. Be the carriers of light. What is light? Once again, I look at light as truth, wisdom, information. That's light. Light is not somehow competing against darkness. If you turn the light on, the darkness goes away. You can have a dark gymnasium and have one flashlight and be just fine. That darkness will leave you every time. It's not a match. So don't think that darkness or the lack of information or the intentional manipulation of that information is somehow more powerful than the light you have. It is not. You just have to turn it on. All right. And yeah, that's right. I think this is Cow_Ra. Cowards like to run in flocks like sheep, masking as lions. That's right. All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Well, I'm going to be able to defend what I believe. And that's what I want them to do. You goddamn right. You're a liar. You're a liar, a bitch, and a whore. I can say whatever I want. Second Amendment right. All right. All right.
You're amazing.
You guys, not a man in the group. Not one man. Not you. I want to bring you people down to your graves. That's what I want to do. No, what I want to do and what I promise to do is nothing.
Let's put it up full mass, sir. You are in serious need of an updated course in your American history and a dentist. Let's talk about it. So this particular male, Karen, taunts protesters in a parking lot, harassing the protesters over the weekend. The altercation ends with the man, after harassing them, ends with the man threatening the protesters and confusing his freedom of speech with the Second Amendment by basically saying, I can say what I want to say, I have a Second Amendment right to do so. Well, sir, that means that you're going to shoot somebody. And because you have the right to bear arms according to the Second Amendment, sir. And thank you, Show Low Police Department, for promptly locating. So yeah, we don't have much more information about this fella here, but by the look of his demeanor and also his augmented American flag hat, he needs an intervention from somebody who loves him. Okay, all right, Sharon. You know, if we follow his logic, he has a Second Amendment right to say what he wants to say. He meant he has freedom of speech, but he just confused it with the other thing called freedom to bear arms, right to bear arms. But that would also mean that the protesters have the right to say what they want to say too, if we just follow his logic and nobody else's.
What logic, right?
Right.
Thank goodness he doesn't understand the difference and is not, in this instance, we know of bearing arms, so to speak. What a fool. Okay. Right. And what he needs is an ass whooping. And I'm sorry, Doc. He needs some good men who have tried everything to pull him aside and let him know what time it is, brother. Okay.
Yeah. He
By
said
the way,
it
I do know
one.
an excellent dentist who does charitable work. I don't know that he would take him on, but he does donate his services. He's incredible. Like I said, I don't know that he would take him on without some repenting.
Right. Yeah. Well, like he said, it's not one man that was standing among them. So, you know,
that part.
Hopefully somebody loves you, sir, and they'll sit you down and talk to you. All right. Christino says LA wouldn't be standing if Trump didn't send the troops. What? LA wouldn't be standing? Here it is.
But we will continue to go after the worst of the worst across the country, like President Trump has told us to do, focusing on those that are perpetuating murder and trafficking of drugs and humans across our country, knowing that every single citizen deserves to be safe.
Part of what distinguished the Los Angeles operations, however, is that National Guard troops were there, in essence, protecting or backing up those federal agents as they conducted operations. Is that what we should expect to see in Chicago?
You know, that always is a prerogative of President Trump and his decision. I won't speak to the specifics of the operations that are planned in other cities, but I do know that LA wouldn't be standing today if President Trump hadn't taken action. Then that city would have burned down.
I just want to clarify one thing you said there. You said LA wouldn't be standing if not for these federal deployments?
So many of those homes and businesses that were in downtown LA and in those areas were dealing with riots and violence, and coming in and bringing those federal law enforcement officers in was incredibly important to keeping peace.
Not only is that a lie, the whole thing was illegal, what Trump did. Let's get into it. Now, 2 months after the National Guard was deployed to Los Angeles, a federal judge ruled that Trump illegally deployed the National Guard because they're the National Guard under jurisdiction of a separate authoritative agency. Federal judge in California Tuesday ruled that the Trump administration violated the 19th century law barring the use of soldiers for civilian law enforcement activities when it mobilized 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines to Los Angeles in June. This law is so damn simple. It's been interpreted multiple times by the federal court. There's not a real significant argument to qualify this as legal, at least not in a judicial sense. There's no real appetite politically to qualify such action, except in one context, if Donald Trump says so. Republicans and Democrats have universally agreed utilizing the military in order to engage in policing activity is typically a no-no and deemed unconstitutional, against the rules of engagement. Not allowed to do it. You cannot become commander and chief of police in the United States of America. There's more. Quote, the evidence at trial established that defendants systematically used armed soldiers whose identity was often obscured by protective armor and military vehicles to set up protective perimeters and traffic blockades, engage in crowd control and otherwise demonstrate a military presence in and around Los Angeles. U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer in San Francisco said in the 52-page ruling. That's called an occupation, military occupation. They come to set up, block streets, limit access, create mobility barriers, and they, in the domestic context, back up the police. Well, let's get into that. Quote, in short, defendants violated the Posse Act, he said, very common. Everyone knows it. Lawyers representing California argued during a trial last month that the president had exceeded his authority by deploying federal troops after thousands of protesters took to the streets of downtown LA to protest his immigration policies. California had asked the judge, Breyer, to order the Trump administration to return control of the remaining troops to Governor Gavin Newsom and to stop using the military to execute or assist in the execution of federal law. I'm going to get into that ruling in a moment. The Department of Justice countered that the deployment was necessary to protect federal property and personnel, and that the troops acted within the confines of the obscure law. The 1878 statute prohibits the president from using the military as a domestic police force without approval from Congress. Let me tell you how we got here. Your first issue is the way the judge ruled. The judge should have ruled in a way that would have required the administration to file an appeal to the order. Ordering Trump to do something, that's a little different than simply stating the order yourself as a matter of law. And as a matter of law, restoring the normative powers back to Newsom. But in the ruling, he's saying basically, the judge is saying basically, you have authority here, Mr. President. You just don't have the authority to utilize them in the way that you did. I think that's a mistake already. Number 2, 1878 statute. You can't do anything like this unless you get approval from Congress. Well, you know what? There's a statute even older than that one that presidents have ignored. It's called Articles of War. It's in the U.S. Constitution. United States of America cannot engage in creating articles of war except by way of congressional approval. When was the last time that happened? You see, that's the issue. You start in a way that seems subtle, and then the argument is it's necessary. We have to do it for expediency, to protect. Then both parties are doing it. Democrats, Republicans, they both have done it. It's in the Constitution. And now it softens the blow. It softens the impact to the collective consciousness of an American citizen when a president of the United States does something very similar, but now against his own country. That's how we got here. All right, it's part of it. Sharing thoughts here.
Yeah, this president wants, as you pointed out, a national police force. Kim Jong-un has one. Sure, there's one in Moscow and the other cities and surrounding areas in Russia, because that's what he wants, to control you gathering, speaking, voting. Why not voting too? Right. This is a sick. And if people can't stand up now and realize we're under a dictatorship, a police state, I don't know what we can do to convince them.
Well, there are some who are awakening. There are some who voted for Trump, and they are saying no more. We shall see if it continues. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay. Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked. My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reformed, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
I'm wearing one of our pieces of merchandise. So the funny thing about the Dragon Squad, and that's what our viewers call themselves. That's the name of the group, but every individual chooses their own name. You might have Cincinnati Dragon. You might have Harry Potter dragon. We have a Grandma Sunshine dragon is one of those that I remember. These are people that like to have an element of themselves, their lives, what's significant to them reflected as a part of the community. But the concept of the Dragon Squad is just something I threw away as a joke. I was mocking the Proud Boys, these like right-wing groups that come up with a name for themselves that they think is cool, but it's actually really lame. And I thought, off the top of my head, I can come up with something that's still kind of lame, but much cooler. And so I threw out Dragon Squad and I just moved on with my life. But everybody liked it, and so they kept it going, and so we've embraced it. And I think again, this was during the period of the pandemic. I think it was sort of nice to have a renewed sense of community, a feeling that you're a part of something when everything seems so chaotic. And as a result of that, we've got independent artists online streaming, making beautiful digital art of dragons. We've got, we've released a number of pieces of merchandise that people love sending us photos of them. And then, by the way, for me personally, people send me, like you can probably see in the background, like a knitted dragon someone sent me. There's a dragon book they sent me, dragon board games they send me. People have done like custom ironworks, making dragon bottle openers. Like the fans are super invested in diamond art and things like that. And so it's great that they send this stuff. Sometime we're gonna have to set up a wall of all of it. But yeah, it's definitely brought the community a lot closer together. The fact that we were no longer in this big studio, I felt a lot more personally attached to people. It felt very immediate. And I know that I personally needed the connection.
All right, welcome back. Good to be with you. We got a lot of comments. Let me read as many as I can. I greatly appreciate everyone for joining the conversation. Okay, that's right. Gleggett, I think underscore junior underscore double carry segment, basically. And Night Eater, not shocking. These people claimed U.S. cities were being burned to the ground. Yeah, right. Okay, we got Stephanie Haynes, 8609. Thank you for that, Stephanie. LA native here. We barely tolerate rain, so trust me, we felt the same with those Trump chumps. It'd take a lot more for us to buckle. Good stuff. All right. Very sad, horrific story. Imagine you come home, all your stuff gone. I'm not talking about somebody has robbed you, but they did. However, they were just moving everything out of your house because they went to the wrong one. All of your child's stuff is thrown away. Your things are gone. Put it a full mask. When I saw this, I said, there's just no way. You have a hardworking couple, they're raising children. And when you look at that trash can in the split screen, you see all of the memories, the moments that they've given those toys, maybe during holidays, special occasions, just because the child said, I want it at the store. According to the local news outlet. Voice of the People, St. Louis, a family in Ferguson. Yep, Ferguson. Has been devastated after an eviction clean-out crew mistakenly cleaned out their home, throwing away every possession they had. An ordinary Wednesday turned into chaos for Ayenda Burris and her family living at Renewal Heights Apartments after she dropped her kids off at school. She went out to eat with family, expecting to enjoy a nice day. However, when she returned home, she discovered that all their belongings had been tossed into the dumpster, leaving them devastated. The eviction clean-out that wasn't meant for her stemmed from a series of mix-ups. Property management aimed to clear out a different apartment, but they mistakenly cleared out the Burris family's home instead. To make matters worse, the family was not behind on rent. Their lease was set to renew in September. This wrongful cleanout has led many to question the competence of the management and maintenance team. You don't say so. I mean, obviously, there's an issue of competence here. Sometimes negligence happens because of the conscious or unconscious biases of the individuals who are, well, supposed to give you adequate service. We're going to get into that. Quote, I thought it would be a normal morning. I dropped my kids off at school. We went out to eat with the family. When I returned, my entire life was gone. All of my belongings thrown away. Ayenda recounted in disbelief. When she returned, management informed her of the wrongful eviction cleanout, but the damage was already done. The eviction cleanout crew allegedly went through their possessions, taking items for themselves and discarding what they deemed unworthy. That's actually a normative cultural dynamic that happens in that industry all the time. Every cleanout crew will tell you. Typically, the apartment complex or the management company will let you know, you can take what you want. I don't care. No due diligence to save your property, but they deprive you of it. I say that because, you know, the Constitution says you're going to deprive somebody of particular things like life, liberty, property. You have to engage in a due process. They will point to the local court that evicted you as your due process, but the local court did not take your property. A cleaning crew, a private vendor did that. And in order to qualify that, they must engage in a series of protocols to respect your due process rights. I just hope somebody makes that argument one day. In just a few hours, the family lost everything. Clothes for their 3-year-old son and 1-year-old daughter. Essential furniture. Important documents. The emotional toll was heavy, especially when the children came home to a bare apartment. Quote, I thought I would have to sleep on the floor after all this. I went to my grandmother's house, grabbed some blankets, and prepared to sleep on the floor with my 2 kids. But when I came back, everything was back in the house out of the trash. We found blankets, beds, toys, and even food from the dumpster back in the fridge. However, everything was covered in filth. Potential dangerous items like needles and razors could have been in that dumpster. The stench was unbearable, and I was horrified to think about the diseases we might be exposed to, she stated. Talk about incompetence. Talk about insane remedy to an insane negligence. In the analysis of this, the decision to take contaminated items and put them inside of a commercial property with children at their domicile is going to be the part of this that will likely cost the most for them. Because now you have added pain and suffering and potential risk or exposure to harmful contaminants to minors. Allende also mentioned money was missing. Well, yeah, if they steal everything else, of course. They're going to say, well, let's let them keep the money. No, of course, they'll take whatever's of value, according to the narrative. And their television was broken during the chaos. Quote, I don't know how it happened, but my TV is now broken some kind of way, she said. Now, Allende is seeking assistance and finding legal support to address the situation, protect the family's rights. The family is also looking for help to replace their essentials and secure stable housing. VIP News has attempted to contact the management at Renewal Heights Apartments for a statement, but there has been no response so far. And to the family, I highly recommend you seek an attorney in order to establish and fight for the rights of you and your children. There are several violations here. And if there's a GoFundMe, please let us know at Indisputable so we can help you in any way we can. The audience here and the spirit here, myself, the producers, Sharon and others, we give a damn, all right? You don't have to come on the show. We just want to help you. All right, Sharon, thoughts?
Yes, you do give a damn. And the problem is some other people don't in this current climate. City council members should step in and get this resolved immediately. I'm a property owner, so are you, Doc. We have insurance for things like this and numbskull mistakes. I don't know why you have to even, I love attorneys, but I don't even know why you have to hire one for this. And by putting filth back in the fridge in the apartment, I now know exactly what you think of me. That's what the family needs to understand. This is sick, emotional distress, or anything you can throw at them should be in here. And I don't care if she has no proof. Maybe the TV was broken before, I can hear them now, because that's what stupid people say. Give this family what they claim they lost and then some. Okay?
That's right. That's right. And you probably will still, not probably, you will be getting off much easier. Because if the apartment complex, a management company, if you got to hire a legal team to defend this and you're going to lose the case anyway, I guarantee you will end up spending more to defend this mess than to simply come to them with a respectable opportunity to negotiate an offer that is valued at your incompetence and their inconvenience. We'll bring you updates as they come. All right. We got more on the other side. Indisputable. Stick and stay.
Our audience has given us everything, so we couldn't be more connected. When we first started, people would start giving us directions and say, okay, the mics are too large, move them. Turn them into lav mics. I mean, they were incredible. And then one guy walked in and gave us a really expensive switcher and said, you guys need this, and walked out. Okay, it's amazing. They helped us build a studio. They did a $2 million funding campaign for us. And so they really are us. We do this show together to the point where some of our hosts are even former listeners. So when we say that the audience is part of TYT, we really mean it.
I think what the audience also appreciates is especially if they're members, they really get an inside look into who we are, our personal lives, what drives and motivates us. It goes beyond just storytelling. I think that what we do is allow our viewers and our listeners into our daily lives, and we give them kind of like this inside look into everything that we're passionate about and why it is that we're doing what we're doing, right? Like the motivation behind what we're doing, I think is important for our audience to know, and we're not shy about sharing that with them. And it's different from what people typically see in legacy media outlets where everything is kind of dry and robotic and there's really no personality or authenticity that comes along with it. Oftentimes when we're doing the show, I don't really think of it as me telling them stories. I think of it as us having a mutual respect and conversation with one another. And as I said earlier, I mean, not only do I feel that through the work I do, I'm informing our audience, but they inform me oftentimes as well. You know, they'll pitch stories to us. They'll tell us, you know, a certain perspective or angle to a story that we might have missed. And I love it.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We have a lot of show left. Okay, a pastor fights off a carjacker. This was in Baltimore. Put it a full mass. Reverend Kenneth Moreland Jr., pastor of the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit in Bridgeport, whooped a carjacker's ass. I know it says subdued a carjacker. No. He laid holy hands upon the carjacker. This is so sad. The man was attending a funeral. This happened on June 1st. He was in Baltimore. Reverend Kenneth jumped on the gunman, pinned the gunman down to the ground for about 20 seconds, wrestled the gun out of the gunman's hand, did not kill the man, did not say he needed to, did something that we would assume that a cop or two could probably do, but we know good and damn well, if a police officer trained in combat, trained in his particular police academy, boot camp training, etc., he would have just shot him. This pastor wrestled the gun out of the man's hands. If he felt threatened after that, he could have still legally shot him with his own gun. Didn't. Quote, I had just pulled up on Pratt Street in Baltimore when a man comes up to my window, points a gun at my face and tells me to get out of the car. The pastor told News 12. Quote, I got out of the car, but then my instinct was to fight the gunman because I knew my life was at stake. I told him I'm a father, a husband, and a pastor. And you can just go now and I won't press charges. Quote, but even after all that, after I had let him go and given him a chance to not face charges, he still drove off in my car. The pastor said, quote, I have forgiven the young man, but this was a violent crime. It shows me that I need to work even harder to help young people right here in Bridgeport. because a lot of these kids are hopeless, and this problem is not unique to Baltimore. Police say they were unable to track the car using this navigation system. They were able, to track the car using the navigation system and arrest the gunman about 2 hours after the carjacking. The suspect's name is not being released. You know why? Because it's a child. It's a juvenile. It's a juvenile. Put up the past again. Whoever knows this man and receives spiritual instruction from this man, you are receiving some of the best spiritual instruction possible. Not because of what he says. But because of what he does. He told the young man, now if you just leave, I won't press charges. I won't ruin your life. Why does he say that? Because he values him. That's it. All right, share thoughts.
You see, this is beautiful to me, and maybe I'm stupid. There are people who would say by doing what the pastor did, you're encouraging more carjackings. I disagree. Here we have a man who embodies the earliest Christians, nonviolent. They refused to serve in the Roman army. Okay, modern times. Martin Luther King Jr. said, you know what? We're nonviolent. We're going to forgive. We're going to love. We're going to lead with love. Not excusing any behavior. But yes, I'd love to take my direction from this man of God.
Yep. I'm reminded that my love is more powerful than my judgment.
Thank you.
Because of me like him. All right. Way to go, Pastor. You gave me my sermon for this week, brother. Sharon, always fascinating to have you on the show. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
At Sharon Reed Live across all platforms, of course, Rebel HQ. We just love you, Doc. And your emotion is welcome. It's welcome. It shows your heart and character. Please become a judge. Do something in your spare time, as if you have any, because we need more of you. Begging you.
Thank you. The feeling is mutual. We appreciate all you do. All right. Remember, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.